Hey guys, so welcome to tonight's Fearlessly Fit team call. Tonight's call is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be honest, I didn't have a topic in mind to chat about all night, so I figured we would just kind of open it up to Q&A. And so I opened up our team page earlier today to Q&A, and I guess I don't need my happy light on anymore, but I opened up the team page for Q&A, and I also wanted to open it up here, like the chat, and you guys are more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask any questions you guys have. I kind of feel like lately we've had some really great team calls on content, and Shred Nation's done some amazing ones. We did some on inviting, whereas I feel like a lot of the bigger topics have been covered lately, so I didn't want to be repetitive. So just kind of wanted to open it up to you guys and see what questions you guys have. So I have the team page open on the side over here, and I've got some questions. So I'm just going to start answering some of these ones. A lot of them were about cold market and what to do with certain challengers, things like that. If you guys are okay with that, I'm just going to answer some of them. And if you guys have any tips or tricks or advice when it comes to these questions, I would love if you guys could unmute yourself and give us your feedback too. Coaching is not a one size fits all, and what I do in my business is not the only way to do things. And I know some of you guys have some really great ways to run your business and tips on how to do some of this. So I'm just gonna get started. And if you guys have any questions or have a question based on one of these things or something I say, like just unmute yourself or type it in the chat. Like I'd love to just kind of keep this a little informal tonight, if that's okay. So first question on the team page was, what is your best tip to reach your cold market? So, this has changed throughout the years. And back in the day when I started coaching, there was something called share for shares, where you could literally just share your Facebook page with other pages, and people would share each other's pages. And that's honestly how I grew my Facebook back in the day. But things are a little bit different. Facebook's a lot harder to grow these days. And I would say that Instagram is actually a little bit easier if you are trying to tap into your cold market, because I mean, on Facebook, a lot of people don't randomly friend people unless they're up to something. It's not really a practice people do. Whereas on Instagram, it is very common to not know all of your followers and to have followers that are complete strangers to you. So on Facebook, for me, when I'm growing my cold market, it's a lot of posting things that are going to get engagement. So thinking of, when you go to post something, are people going to like, share, or comment on this? And not just like it, but give it the heart or the wow face or the sad face, or I don't really want anyone giving me the mad face, but I guess it helps engagement. But basically, Facebook wants you to get reactions out of people. And for someone to go and give you a heart, it takes a little bit more effort than you just getting a thumbs up. So doing stuff that's going to get people to really interact. And it's the same when you're posting content. Think about it. Like, could you add an open-ended question to your post in order to get people to actually comment on it? Could you share? Could you be a little bit vulnerable to get people to start interacting with you? It's really easy to just post like, here's my meal, here's my dinner, here's my sweaty selfie, here's my kids at gymnastics, here's my kids in the bathtub like I did today. But it's really like, just if you could go one layer deeper and say, do your kids love the bathtub too? Are your kids into sports? What are you having for dinner? What workout did you do today? Little things like that to get people interested and get people interacting back with you, I think is really important for engagement. And you have to remember that whenever someone likes, comments, or shares your stuff, it's showing up in their news feed. So that's a lot of times how you'll get people to intertwine. I just bought essential oils this week, and the girl I bought essential oils from knows Jill. She knows Katie. She actually even knows one of my challengers. Like, it's been this small world where I'm like, how do you know all these people? And it's just because when people like and interact on your page, people see it, and you start to honestly almost like grow in certain friend networks. Not even friend networks, but local areas where everyone's kind of liking the same type of things. Same thing with getting your posts shared, making them a little bit more broad. I think Lauren is really, really good at this, of broadening her her posts and talking about you rather than her all the time. So that way it's a shareable post. People want to share that because they can relate to it, and it's not just about her, it's about people in general. Also, recipes are a really great thing to get shared. Even like on live videos, you guys, getting more interaction. So, give me a heart emoji when you get on. And if you're watching the replay, can you comment and let me know that you're watching the replay? I'd love to know who is watching these videos later on. But asking people for engagement, and you can ask in videos. If you ask on social media for someone to like comment with something, sometimes Facebook can block you. But on Instagram, to me, it's a different ballgame because you've got hashtags and you've got Insta stories. Tons of people watch Insta stories, tons of people search hashtags. But a lot of times to build your cold market, you have to go out there first. So one thing I do is I try to find certain hashtags or certain people that I really like, and I will go and follow some of their followers and start building relationships, commenting on their stuff, liking their stuff, creating conversations. And the more you can get in there, I think the better. But I think Instagram is really easy to start building those relationships and talking to your cold market, whereas I think it's a little bit harder to just find random people on Facebook. But the other little tip on Facebook is groups. Do you guys utilize groups much? Because we all have local groups. We have like buy nothing groups here. We have local community groups. I'm in so many different mom groups. I'm in mom groups even for like the month and year my child was born. There is groups for baby-led weaning and potty training and essential oils and car seats and all this stuff. I mean, if you're a dog mom, any hobby that you have or anything that you are, you can find a group on. And I'm not asking you to go in there and just start posting your like advertisements or call to actions, but start building relationships in there. Facebook and Instagram, like these networks want you to be social. And it's a lot of times we want to sit back and just like let people come to us. And if you want that, then you better master ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and things like that. But I think it's really important that you remember that sometimes you got to be the first one to be social and to go find these people. So on Facebook, it's the content, it's getting interaction on your page, or using groups. And then on Instagram, it's the hashtags, it's finding people you like and, friending them and building relationships. I have a question in the chat also, because we're on the topic of Instagram and Facebook. What is the best way to handle people who do not have Facebook and do not want one? That's why we have the Challenge Tracker app, in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of it, and I love Facebook because I can go live, and frankly, I'm on Facebook all day, and so are my challengers, and it's a little bit easier to get interaction there. So that's why I personally like Facebook. But that's why we have the Challenge Tracker app, is for people who don't want Facebook. So you can always go that route. I know you said that when people don't want one, but I've had people who like die hard refuse to use Facebook. But the way I kind of phrased it to them is, you're willing to create an account for this Challenge Tracker app. Why not just create an account for the challenge group on Facebook? I tell them, you do not have to friend me. You do not have to add a profile picture. You do not have to have anything except use it as just the login to this group. I have never had someone say no to that, especially when I say, like, you don't have to friend me. You don't have to do anything. It's just a login, because they're going to go create a login for this Challenge Tracker app or anything else that you like host a group in. So trying to really think of it as the same thing. So that's what I do there. So my next question was, how do you help your challengers that fall off the bandwagon? Good question. I wish I had like some like secret sauce of how to get people to stay on track. For me, it's really staying firm on my expectations with them, but also following up. So in my challenge groups, I do not run fancy challenge groups. Anyone who's been in them, I don't have prizes. The prize is you get a bikini body and you get confidence. And I don't think people need a $50 gift card to do that. But I don't have daily posts. I do for some, like for like 80-day obsession, I'm using the challenge group guide. Again, not created by me, nothing fancy there. But I do a check-in every single Monday. So I used to email all my challengers, but as my business has grown, emailing 75 people a week was making me want to shoot myself. So I decided to do everything in the group. And I just frankly don't like emailing people and typing. I like voice memos. I like broad things. So I decided to bring my check-ins into just a post. So every single Monday at 4 a.m. Pacific, there is a post. It looks the same every single week. It does not change, literally copy and paste every single week. And I ask them like how it's going. And every Tuesday, I go in and I check off people's names. Some people I let slide, especially if I see them super active in the group and I know they probably just missed it. I'll tag them, whatever. But if I see that someone, I will search the name. So if my challenger did not check in, I will search their name. And if I don't see any posts, they get a message from me. And I say, hey girl, I saw that you have not been active in the challenge group. And I also noticed that you didn't check in this week. And I wanted to sync up with you. Participation is a requirement to stay in the group. And I don't really want to kick you out. I really want to help you get back on track. Is there anything I can do to bring you back? If they don't respond, they'll usually get a message from me saying, hey girl, maybe this is a bad time. I would love for you to join a group in the future, but I do remove them from the group. I actually it's kind of like a parent, you can't threaten your kids and say, hey, I'm going to take your Nintendo away. Is Nintendo even a thing anymore? And then not do it. Like you have to follow through with what you say. Otherwise they're not going to believe you and they're going to think like they don't have to do what you say. But that person then goes on a follow-up list. And I don't let them just never talk to them again, because you'll lose a lot of challengers that way. But I do require participation. And a lot of times you'll get them back by sending that message. And the other thing I do is I do success partners in my groups. So at the very beginning of my groups, I say, this is not a requirement, but if you want a success partner, I'd love to sync you guys up. Some of my success partners that I have paired up are besties. They talk and I'm like, oh, you guys talk without me? What? But a lot of the girls in my group are really connected to each other because they've been partnered. And some of them request to be partnered month after month after month. And I really truly think that's what's helped a lot of my challenger retention too, is they not only have me looking out for them, but they also have one specific person that has their eyes on that person. And I think it's really important that someone feels like they're not going to get forgotten about, especially, I don't care if you have a group of 5 or 100. Some people can say oh, there's other people in the group. No one's going to care if I post. And it's really important, I think, for people to know that they're looking out for them and someone's going to tag them and, hey, I didn't see your sweaty selfie. Where are you at today? So that's kind of what has really helped me with my challengers who fall off the wagon, is getting success partners and requiring participation. But you're always going to have challengers who just frankly aren't ready for this, and that's okay. And has nothing to do with you as a coach. There's sometimes nothing you can do or say, but just following up with them and making sure that they know that you're still there for them. Sometimes I think that's the most important thing to do. The next question is, what do you consider a new conversation on the Win the Week checklist? So for anyone who doesn't know what that checklist is, it is this one. For me, a new conversation is a new contact, someone I have not talked to before. So literally a brand new person, because I think it's really important to build your network. And if you're constantly talking to the same 10 people every couple of weeks, then you're never going to be growing. So essentially my idea of a new conversation is building my network, talking to someone brand new that I have not talked to before. And it could be someone maybe that has commented on my stuff or responded to my Insta stories and said, love it. I'm not going to count that as a conversation if they say love it to me. But if I'm talking to them with intent for the first time, that's a new conversation for me. And I have a question in the chat. Do you randomly pick the challenger success partners? Some of them, but some of them I actually do have strategy behind. I have certain challengers who are going through certain struggles that I know that they probably could be really good for each other. I have some that I know are super active in the group, and I really want to pair them up with someone else who's super active in the group, because I don't want them to feel like, oh, my partner is not talking to me, and they want someone who's really involved too. I have some that are maybe much older than the rest of us or much younger than the rest of us, I'll pair them up together, because I think someone who has kids that are 20 years old is probably going to relate to someone a little bit better than someone who's in college that is not married with 0 kids. So I kind of try to do that, but there are some times I don't know my challengers and they're brand new to me and I don't know a lot about them. So not always, but there are certain ones that I think will be really good for each other. Or I could see them being best friends because they have a lot in common, but not always. But I think it's good to be a little strategic, and make sure you pair people up that you think will be good for each other if you do know enough about them. Okay, the next question is, at what point did you feel like you could require Shakeology and challenge packs? I have a lot of interest in Beachbody On Demand, but not Shakeology. And I'm not requiring it because I still want to help people, but that's why I'm doing this ultimately. But it would be nice to have someone return on it with Shakeology. So I think this is a really good question because for years I have required Beachbody people to have the program and either Shakeology or the performance line always. And for me right now, that is a no matter what. There is never a time that someone enters my challenge group without those unless they are literally allergic to it, have tried everything and they can't. Otherwise, like I do require it. But I would say in the very beginning, I didn't. But I also, so I found it challenging because I found that there's two sides, just like kind of Jill said last week, is sometimes you find that people who aren't on Beachbody or aren't on Shakeology see other people on Shakeology and they're like, ooh, I want in, like, what is that? That looks really good. And then it's almost like that positive peer pressure where they want to try it, especially if people are liking it. But I also found on the flip side, I just started looking at it from my personal perspective of if a coach came to me and said, hey, I'm running this challenge group and you can either join. So back in the day when I made this decision, there was no such thing as Beachbody On Demand. So it was 21 Day Fix. That was the big thing. And it was, you could either join for $60 with Beachbody or with 21 Day Fix with just the DVDs and the containers, or for $160, you could join with the program, Portion Fix, and Shakeology. And I just thought, like, if someone came to me, I was broker than a joke when I signed up to coach. If someone gave me the option for their coaching for $60 and for $160, it's like, $60, duh. Like, there was no question in my mind. But I think a lot of people look at the price and they don't see what they're getting. And so I would say I probably made this decision a few months into coaching, but I also will say that I hit Success Club 23 my first month, and I've only not hit 20 or above 1 month in my entire 50 plus months of coaching. So I never had a problem finding the challengers, and I just found that I'm getting enough people, and I think it's okay to restrict myself now. I don't think I'm going to be shooting myself in the foot. But I also know that not everyone has that same start, and not everyone has a little bit of a following when they start coaching. So I don't think it's a bad idea to say, okay, I'm going to require Beachbody On Demand at least, and then go from there. If I were to do that today, I would talk the crap out of Shakeology, energize, recover, hydrate, all of that stuff in my group like crazy. Like, I would be breadcrumbing about it daily and trying to make sales off the people in there, because if your whole group isn't using it, then you need to be like talking about the stuff in there and hoping it picks up. And for me, when I didn't require it, when someone would complain about cravings, if they ever struggled to stay on track, I would play dumb and say, oh my gosh, girl, are you drinking your Shakeology? Oh no, I don't have it. Oh, well, man, did you know that helps a ton with your cravings? Same to this day, when someone complains about being sore, my first question is, are you drinking your Recover? Oh, you don't have it? You need it. You know, if someone complains about not having energy in the morning for their workouts, oh, are you drinking Energize? Do you like it? Oh, I'm not drinking it. Oh my gosh, you need it. So I don't think it's a bad thing. The other thing though I do is I host a free fit club, and I know Kristen started doing that this week. I don't see her on the call. Probably going to watch the recording, but she set one up, and a free fit club might be a really great option for you in the meantime. And so the way I run my free fit club, which it's kind of gone downhill in the last several months because I've been so focused on my challenge groups, but I opened it up to anyone, you guys. As long as they didn't have another coach, they could join my free fit club. And what happened is, and so right now, who goes in my free fit club is anyone who requests to join that doesn't have a coach, and any of my old challengers who don't continue with Shakeology. So no one can ever come to me and say, oh, Jess, man, she won't help me if I don't buy from her. Yeah, I will. You can go on my free fit club. I always try to make sure my challenge group gets more of my attention. My challenge group gets my live videos. My challenge group gets every post of mine, and I post a lot of them in my free fit club, but not every single one, because I don't want someone to be in both and go like, oh, you post all the same stuff, I don't need to be in this group. I don't pair people with success partners in my fit club, but my fit club I have signed a ton of coaches out of my free fit club, and I have sold a ton of challenge packs in my free fit club, and it's a great place to still talk about my challenge groups and to do kind of like breadcrumb in there. So possibly a good idea would be to set up a free fit club and advertise it as a ongoing free group, a free community group, and then post like, yes, we tell you guys not to post like Shakeology selfies like this with your energize and your hydrate and everything. But in this group, do that. Blast the crap out of Beachbody and let people know how amazing it makes you feel. So that way people are asking about it. Post your challenge group stuff in there so people want to join. So I don't think you necessarily have to, but I think you can get creative in how to still help people without requiring it. But I do think when you start getting a lot of challengers, if you find that you're getting enough that want Shakeology, that maybe you can then transition over to requiring it. But I will be honest, I didn't require it always in the very beginning. I just found that I wanted people to take me seriously, and I wanted, to be honest, I wanted to get paid for my time. I would find people that just want to join month after month with the same program and no Shakeology. And back in the day, there was no Beachbody on Demand. There was nothing that was getting recurring orders or subscriptions. So it was like, man, these people are messaging me all hours of the night. They're like, all that. Like I spent a lot of time that I was like, you know what? I need to put some boundaries in place to make sure that I set the standard. And I also want people to know, like, man, like this is how I get paid. This is literally like, this is my livelihood. This is how I pay my mortgage, all this stuff. And if someone is just joining my groups for free every single month, like I'm essentially working for free, which I think is okay in the very beginning when you're getting your business off the ground. But eventually you get to the point where you're like, okay, my business is off the ground. I do not have to work for free anymore. But I think everyone probably will find a different point in their business when they can make that adjustment. And some people won't ever make that adjustment, and they'll do one or the other all the time, which is totally okay. And again, you guys can always try stuff. Try not requiring it. Does it work? Do those people end up buying Shakeology? Like really pay attention for a couple months. See, do these people actually convert to Shakeology sales? Do these people actually end up purchasing stuff, or do they write out freebies? And do the people who don't drink Shakeology, are they as committed as your ones who do drink it? Start kind of playing around and figuring out what works best. I found my challengers who didn't drink Shakeology and didn't have any skin in the game, they weren't very committed. They always were falling off. They were my negative Nancy's in the group. They weren't seeing results. And I like when people pay the money because they have skin in the game. When you spend $150, $60 on something, you have a little bit more motivation to show up. Just like in our Emerald training, when you guys have $10, even though it's only $10 in the pot, you have a little bit of skin in the game. You have something on the line that makes you want to show up a little bit harder for it. So the next question is, if new people were not coming to you and you were seeking them out, how long do you steer the conversation / getting to know you into fitness and your groups? So essentially, how long do I take to transfer the conversation into fitness and what I do? I really try to strategically start conversations that I know can get there. So if I start a conversation with someone about their kids, that's going to be much harder for me. That's probably going to be a multiple conversation type of thing before it ever gets to fitness. And 9 times out of 10, people do end up bringing bringing it up to me without me bringing it up to them. But I strategically will find people that I can start conversations with their workouts or things like that. But also my niche, in my opinion, is someone who's slightly into health and fitness, who probably has kids. But I was into health and fitness when I joined Beachbody. So that's kind of what I'm looking for too, is someone who kind of is interested. They don't have to be like on their journey 100% and rocking 6-pack abs, but someone who's interested, someone who looks at Fitspiration on a daily basis and likes to pin cute girls in bikinis on Pinterest. So I go and find those girls and I start conversations with them. I talk to them about their meal plans. I talk to them about their workouts, and eventually they ask me what I'm doing. And that's kind of how I do it. But I always try to ask something about health and fitness in that very first connection, because then it's really easy to get it on that topic. Whereas if I thank someone for their potty training advice, do you know how hard it is to get over to health and fitness from that? Like, so do you work out while your kid's potty training? I mean, you can't do that, you guys. It's so hard to bring the conversation over, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that conversation is going to take a few more touch and goes. You know, it's going to be a few more contacts. It's going to be a few more stuff. But those people that maybe I talked to about potty training or back in the day with baby food or this anxiety stuff I've been going through, those are people I'm going to go back to and say, hey girl, I remember our conversation. I am putting together a group and I thought about you. I'm really trying to get a group of us busy moms together to really support each other along our fitness journeys. And I know we were chatting last month about the craziness of potty training, and you popped up in my brain. And so I wanted to see if you'd be interested in joining us. I'd love to have some other moms where we can all relate to each other. There you go. Where I brought up that old conversation. It wasn't some cold invite where I was pretending like I had no idea who they were, but you can invite them later on, but it makes it a little bit harder, but not impossible. But a lot of times when you have these conversations with people and you talk about things and you really bond over something, these people are going to start commenting and interacting with you and frankly asking you how they can join your stuff. So I do think it makes it a little bit easier that people start coming to you when you start relating to people on these other things. For example, I've been battling some insane anxiety lately, and I've been very open about posting about my appointment with my doctor yesterday, all that stuff. And it's amazing how these people that have been messaging me about their anxiety, I find that I see those same names popping up in my challenge group applications, so they're seeing my other posts because they're following me a little bit closely, and then they're seeing my other stuff and they'll start applying. So a lot of times just having the conversations and being open and being a friend to them opens them up to wanting to join my stuff. So, next question was, do you differentiate posts on Instagram and Facebook, or do you do the same content? I personally do the same content. I would actually say I probably post a little bit more on Facebook, because I feel like on Instagram, like your feed needs to look good. Like when you go to your feed, like my biggest, and I do this all the time to my own feed, and I'll go to my feed and I'll just like look right here. Like, does it look cohesive, or do you have like weird things that pop out and your pictures don't look the same? Like all of mine have the same exact filter. All of mine have faces in it, or I try to at least. But I try to make sure that my feed looks cohesive. So sometimes I have posts that, for example, I posted over on Facebook today. I don't even know if you guys can see this stuff, so I'm not even sure why I'm pulling it up, but I'm going to anyways. Well, first off, I did some call to actions on Facebook today, and I don't want my feed full of call to actions. I find I do those things in stories lately. So call to actions go to my news feed, whereas call to actions on Instagram usually go to my stories. But for example, I posted this picture of my kids. Can you see it in the bathtub? It's all white, you guys. That does not go with my feed at all. And frankly, I posted on my stories about bath time today. So that is something where I will post the same type of stuff, but I might post them in different forms on Instagram and Facebook. Also with Instagram, I don't know if you guys use Instagram and actually go through and follow people and like interact with your following. But when someone posts and I have like 5 different things by the same person in a row, I literally unfollow them. That annoys me. So you don't want to be the person on Instagram posting every 5 seconds. Whereas on Facebook, I think you can get away with posting a little bit more often. I actually get better results when I post more often on Facebook. So that's kind of where I will differentiate. But things usually go in my stories. And I do find I can post so much more in my stories. And that is where I start 90% of my conversations, and probably get about 90% of my sales lately is through Instagram stories, because you can be a little bit more of yourself, and it's really easy for people to message you and chat with you about what you're doing. So it's almost like people start coming to you with your stories. How often do you post on your Instagram? Well, that goes right with it. How often? Okay, no, the question was, how many posts do you add hashtags to? So, got my alarm telling me to go eat dinner. So for Instagram, I actually started working with someone who's going to help me with my Instagram lately. And she just did a training on Instagram. And she said the new thing is no more than 5 to 10 hashtags in your posts. And they need to be in your original posts, not in the comments. And you want to differentiate them. So you want to do different ones. So for example, if I hashtag boy mom, hashtag life with boys in every single one of them, Instagram doesn't like that. And they're going to start like hiding my posts. They want you to differentiate, and actually go with what your post is about. So I really have been trying to mix up my hashtags, and I find that my interaction on my posts, when I actually hashtag relevant things to the picture and things that I always make sure my hashtags are between or less than 100 or 200,000. So if it has so when you type in a hashtag on Instagram, you can tell if 14 million people have hashtagged it. You want to do things that have the lower numbers. So that way your posts actually have a chance of being in that top 10 and actually staying relevant in the post. And not if you post something with a hashtag with 14 million people doing it, it's going to be 2 seconds until it drops down, where if someone actually hashtags that and goes and looks at it, they're not going to see your stuff. Whereas if you hashtag something with 50,000 hashtags, there's a much better possibility that they're actually going to see your stuff as they scroll through it. But her tip to me was doing 5 to 10 hashtags and not loading it up to 30. I don't know why, but I actually have been getting better results doing that and better interaction with my posts when I do fewer quality hashtags rather than just hashtagging everything and super broad things. But I try to hashtag all of my stuff, but I will be honest, there are many times where I post it and go, oh crap, I forgot to put hashtags on it. I do not go back and edit it, because I've also heard that Instagram does not like it when you go back and edit your posts, which it's oh my gosh, so many rules, you guys. But so if I miss it, I usually don't go back and do it, but I've really, really tried hard lately to make sure I put a couple in there. I mean, think 2 or 3 hashtags is better than 0, and having them in the post and fairly relevant. Next question was, do you ever hashtag opposing brands like Weight Watchers or keto? So I have before. So I've done, so first off, when I hashtag keto one time, I had so many of my followers going, oh my gosh, you're doing keto now? And it's oh, no. Ooh. No, there's a strategy behind here. But a lot of times your followers actually read your hashtags and then they're like, what? It's amazing. So I didn't realize my followers actually read those hashtags. And I've done BBG or TIU in the past. But I just find that those communities are so tight knit that it's almost not even worth my time and energy to try to break into them. And I find that then you just get weird questions from the TIU girls are you don't do TIU. And it's oh gosh, you guys are a clan over there. But I don't think it's not a bad idea. Especially, if you've done Weight Watchers in the past, I think that's a little bit of a different story, but I find I get better results when I actually hashtag people that I want to target. And frankly, do you want to target people who love keto and that you have to then go oh, you should do this. Well, no, I like super high fat stuff, you know, like it's just like almost like if they want your stuff, they're gonna come find it. Next question was, new to coaching and new on my journey, what are some best tips to get followers? So a lot of the stuff we've talked about tonight, to me, it's creating really great content. And I think one of the best way to get really loyal followers is to be sure you guys are sharing about your life. There's a lot of you guys, I actually do follow a lot of you guys secretly. I don't actually follow, but I go search you guys out to see what you guys are doing. And a lot of you guys are really great about posting about your workouts and really great about posting about Shakeology and what we do. And a lot of you guys post way too much stuff about Beachbody. And then you realize, like looking at your pages, it's like, can I tell if you're a mom? Can I tell if you have kids? Can I tell if you're going to school? Can I tell if you're married? Can I tell what you like to do on the weekends? Can I tell if you like TV or not? And if I can, what shows do you like? Can I tell what music you like? Can I tell, you know, what you're really passionate about or what you're interested in or what you like to read, any of these things. But I think it's really important that people post, or that you guys post more about the rest of your life than Beachbody. I mean, you want to show your lifestyle. And I think one thing we forget about is we aren't here to be Beachbody coaches. We're here to be health and fitness coaches who inspire people through our stories. And part of our stories is us. And when someone comes to your page, if they're not into health and fitness already, it's really, really difficult for them to relate to you. They'll be inspired by you. They'll be like, man, that girl wakes up early. She works out. That's awesome for her. But they're not going to see themselves in you. And they're not going to say, man, that girl, she struggles with food addiction. She has 2 kids. She works full time and she's able to do all this stuff. Like, man, like I really got to reach out to her. She can help me because I'm just like her. You want people to see themselves in you. So I think that's really, really important to gain followers and to gain loyal followers. Because honestly, like having 100,000 or even having 1,000 followers means nothing if they're not loyal followers that actually have things in common with you. So sharing about your life. People, I mean, have you noticed, like I post a call to action and I'll get maybe like 1 like from my mom. And then I post about my kids having, you know, being sick, or posting about anxiety, or posting about The Bachelor, or where I got my cheap eyeliner, and people like comment like crazy. Or I ask people which bathroom mirror looks better and you get 150 comments. So people really want to see the rest of your life, and you want to sprinkle in Beachbody on top. That's a great way to get more followers. The other thing is really not being afraid to invite and reach out first. You know, I think a lot of us are probably introverts. I probably can speak for a lot of us that a lot of us are probably introverts, because I'm an introvert and I probably attract a lot of introverts. But a lot of us sit back and wait for people to come to us. And I think it's really important that we make sure we are willing to stick our hands out first to our channel, to our followers and to people, our friends, our family, things like that, to say hi and get introduced and get to know people, because that's going to help you build a following as well. Also making sure, I mean, and honestly, like in the very beginning, not being ashamed to say, hey mom, can you go like my page, and can you share it with all your coworkers at work? And hey grandma, can you like my page? And hey husband, can you like my page and like all my stuff? I mean, I literally get on my sister and I'm like, girl, you need to go like and comment on all my stuff, because it gets it out there in the news feed. It's like, she'll comment on my stuff just to help me out, because she knows it's putting it out there in the news feed more, you know? So if your friends and family ever want to support you in the business, I mean, have them go like and comment your stuff, share your page, like recommend you, asking for referrals. I mean, these are really great ways to kind of get the ball rolling. Because I find the first 3 months of coaching, usually people are really great about getting into their warm market, but breaking into that cold market is like, until you do that, that's when your business is really going to take off. And sometimes that's asking for referrals, asking people to share your page, like not being afraid to like ask people to do favors for you, you know, but a lot of it is just consistency too. You can't expect to grow a following or even grow a business if you're not going to be consistent with what you're doing. So, you know, if you run a Facebook page or an Instagram account, don't be the person that when I go to your page and I click on your stories, it's like, oh, there's nothing. She hasn't posted in days. You know, man, I wonder what she's up to. And then be the girl that comes back and goes, sorry guys, I've been MIA for the last week. We've been really sick. post about that. It's real life. People want to know that you're sick. They'd rather know you're sick than MIA and probably off eating Cheetos in the background. But be consistent, because people want to know that they can rely on you. And as a coach, that's what's going to have people following your page and actually like seeking out to go see your page, is having new content all the time. And it's better to post something than just go MIA for a while. But growing a following is going to come over time. And I wish I could say like, oh, do X, Y, and Z and you'll get 10,000 followers. It doesn't happen that way. It's about sharing your journey. It's about posting really good content, about letting people get to know you, about inviting, not being afraid to ask people to come join you, but also just like really being consistent and knowing that this stuff doesn't happen overnight, you guys. Like, I've got 30,000 followers on my page, but I've also been running it for 4.5 years, and I also run ads to my page and I do a lot of other stuff. So just keep in mind, like, don't look at someone like a couple years into coaching and think they got that way overnight. It's a lot of every single day consistency, even on the weekends when you're not working and you're with your family, still posting something and being active on your page. So I see a comment over here. Did it take a long time to get followers? Yeah, it did. Back in the day, it was much, much easier. Lately, it is hard to get followers, but I also just want you guys to remember that you don't need 1 million followers on social media to be impacting lives. You just need a couple people. That's all you need. When you really think about like the number of people we help and sign up in our business, it's only a few. We're helping thousands of people a month, like individually. So you don't need thousands and thousands of followers. You just need 1 or 2 people. Heck, to hit Success Club, you need 3 people a month. Okay. Think 3 people a month. I mean, if you don't have a massive following, it doesn't mean you can't have success. It just means you got to put out good content. You got to connect with the people who are following you, and get them such amazing results that they tell all their friends and family members and even the cashier at the grocery store to come follow your page, because that's how you're going to grow. Do you think paying for ads and boosting posts is worth it? So I took a training called Social Team Builder, and I know a couple of you guys have taken that too, that teaches you how to strategically do ads for your page and find a winning ad that you can run. So I do have an ad that runs to my page to get new followers. It brings people in, but again, you guys, it only brings people to me. It's still my responsibility to connect with them, to talk to them, to invite them, to post good content. It just is delivering me people. But I would say it doesn't deliver me a ton of people. I would say I get most of my people by organic reach of people sharing their page. I can't tell you how many challengers of mine know a different challenger of mine that maybe they're not even in my groups anymore, but they were at some point, where it's word of mouth that spreads really, really fast. So I think it's worth it, but there's also a science behind it. So if you plan to run ads, learn it. Don't just like start throwing money at Facebook, because Facebook will take your money and run with it quicker than ever if you don't know how to actually do it. But there's really great trainings out there to teach you how to do that. And it's never hurts to invest in trainings. I know for me, I didn't want to invest a lot of money in this coaching thing because I was like, I'm broke. I don't want to pay for this thing. But, I think of Social Team Builder. It was like almost $350. But man, it's brought me thousands of new people that I've been able to connect with. And I've learned a lot from it. So, never be afraid to find trainings to do and invest a little bit of money. And just remember, like for Social Team Builder, I was like, man, if I sell 7 challenge packs, it's going to pay for it. Like, I knew I could do that. And if I brought the right people to me, I knew I could convert them. So just remember, like, making little investments in your business usually will pay off. The next question is, how often do you reach out to your coaches and challengers individually as opposed to posting in groups? As a new coach, all the time, every day, because if you only have a couple people, then it's really easy to reach out to people. Where I'm at in the business now, to be honest, I want to work with the willing. I want to work with the people who aren't afraid to say, hey, Jess, I need help. Hey, I need this. In the corporate world, one thing my boss always told me is the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I was just like, I hate that. I hate that I have to bitch and moan and always ask for help to get any attention around here. And now here I am a few years later, and I'm like, you know what? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So, I mean, if I ever see someone struggling or I see something like that, I will reach out. But if someone's not showing up for themselves, I'm going to be super blunt. Like, I am not going to go out of my way to go show up for someone who can't even show up to themselves. If someone can't be consistent, if they don't show up, if someone doesn't sets up a call with me and cancels on me or doesn't ever show up, I'm really protective with my time now. Same with my challengers. You know, I used to hunt people down, and I don't want to hunt people down anymore, or ever, honestly. And I don't think we should have to. So challengers, it's if I see them dropping off, they're going to get a message from me. So weekly, I am checking in on that. Coaches, I would say I spend the majority of my time with my newer coaches, but again, I try to communicate it as much as I can. Hopefully my new coaches on here think I have. I want people to feel comfortable coming to me, and I don't want to be the micromanager going, hey, have you done your work? Have you shown up today? Hey, did you do this? No. Like, and I think I also had to remember that as we grow as coaches and as we grow a team, we still have to work our own business. And this is a mistake a lot of coaches make, is they sign up a couple coaches and they're like, okay, now I have a team and now I have to just help you guys. Your job is still to find new coaches, and your job is to still help new challengers, and your job is to still lead by example. So at the end of the day, like, we all still have businesses that we have to run, and we cannot be hunting down the people who are not willing to do it. So I've always been told, you know, like, I'll run with you, I will jog with you, heck, I will even walk with you, but I will not drag you. And I've kind of always tried to keep this mentality of, if someone's not showing up for themselves, that I am going to have some boundaries to not show up either, but I will be there when they're ready. So when they come back and they say, hey, okay, I'm really ready to do this now, I'm always going to be there for them, but I will not hunt someone down. So it really depends. There's some coaches on our team I talk to every single day, multiple messages a day, and there's some that are totally ready to rock and roll on their own, and they want to be left alone. So it really depends on the type of coach, where they're at in the business, and frankly, the effort that they're putting into. I will match them, but I will never exceed. Last question I have here, so if anyone else has questions, put it in the chat. Last question here is, how do you keep active, or how do you keep challenge groups from getting repetitive as you, for you as the coach? What fun extra things do you do to stay engaged and keep engagements? I am like the worst person to ask this question because I don't do anything fun. But I also want to remind you guys that for me, my favorite type, we are moms, we are wives, we have lives. Like, I don't want someone to come into and I used to do fun things back in the day. I used to do giveaways and prizes and post throughout the day, all this stuff to like make people comment on. And I found people would say like, I don't even have time for this challenge group. I'm too busy. Like, I want to help someone get started on a lifestyle, but I don't want like them to have like homework and stuff. And I have always had to kind of rethink, like, what kind of group would you want? You know, and I would always ask yourself that. Would you be motivated by a prize? Would you be motivated by homework? Would you be motivated by icebreakers and incentives? And, you know, like, I know some coaches do Flex Friday, and my old coach Lacey used to do like in her team page, like what was it, like Wacky Friday, where everyone had to post videos of them dancing. I'm horrified by that. I don't want to do that. I would quit a challenge group if you made me do that. You know, so I think you need to do what makes you excited. You know, if you want to get, like my success partner, Rachel Dahl, she's like, you know, for our Diamond Day thing, if you guys are in there, you saw that some of the questions were like, what is your celebrity crush? And I'm just like, what? Like, that has nothing to do with this. And she's like, it's so fun though. And it's like, okay, like, everyone's different. And if you like that stuff, do that stuff. If you like Flex Friday and Water Wednesday and Motivational Monday, and you like counting points for things and, you know, giving a point for every time someone posts something, or doing videos or doing things like that, do it. Because if you like that, your challengers will too. Your challengers are usually a reflection of you. I'm going to be honest, I don't like that stuff. I just want to post my meals. I want to post stuff. I want to share about what I'm doing, but I don't want homework. And I found back in the day, I used to do a check-in every day. You had to rate your nutrition, rate your workout, and then tell me something extra. I hated posting those things. I hated reading them because they were like so monotonous. Like every day they were the same. And if I hate that, then my challengers hated it too. And they were like, oh gosh, sorry. It just like felt like another thing to do when we already have enough things to do. So I personally don't do anything to spice up my challenge groups, and possibly my challenge groups are really boring. I don't know, but I have good retention. People still keep coming back, so I have to be doing something right. But I find that like my groups that are really organic, where people just post their meals, they post their workouts. I have a lot of challengers even, and coaches that are discount coaches who share a ton of stuff about their life in the groups. I mean, we were talking about waxing, bikini waxing the other day, and tampon strings. And I don't even know how that got brought up, but someone did a live video about that the other day. And that's just what we do in our groups. But I think that stuff can come about more when there's not this structure and these certain things you have to do. When you can just post about whatever, people do. And I kind of like that. You get to know people really well. So that personally is my idea. Like whatever you would like, you should do. And your group should feel good to you. And for me to have joy in coaching, it's not the assignments, it's not checking off things, it's not keeping track of points. That actually gives me anxiety even thinking about it, because it's more work for me. I want to be able to feel like I have time to go live and tell them about my anxiety appointment, or to talk about how my day went or whatever, rather than being like, oh, I just got to check off all these things all day long and not have time to just be a challenger right alongside my coaches and challengers in there. Last question over here is, do you have any tips on building your brand and your niche? So one thing that the Social Team Builder had us do is posting about, or like designing your avatar. So I actually created my avatar. So my avatar, her name is Stacy Smith. She is blonde hair. She's a mom of two. She works full time. I mean, I can tell you all about it. So for me, building my brand really went down to building my ideal person. And Karen, you are on here. Okay. So I posted it in our team builder page, social team builder page, with everyone else doing the training. And I posted my avatar. She's got a picture. She's got a name. She's got her interests, what she wants more of, what she wants less of. Her weaknesses and strengths, I think, is what I put on there. And Karen mentioned, like, man, this sounds like a coach. And it honestly, like, looking at this person on there made me realize, like, my ideal person is a coach. And I had to like almost tweak my ideal avatar to make sure that they were not only a challenger, but also could turn into a coach. But it was really, really insightful to actually have this person written down. So then when I go to post something, I can say, what would Stacy think? Would Stacy like this? Would Stacy respond to this? Would she comment on this? Would she want to join my team? Would she want to join this kind of challenge group? Would she be offended by this? Would she like this? Because I think it's really important to kind of know who you're speaking to, because like they say, if you are talking to everyone, you are talking to no one, which is sometimes hard. For me, it's a little bit hard because I'm a people pleaser. I want everyone to like my stuff. I want everyone to enjoy it. And if I get people who don't like it, I actually get my feelings hurt and I go cry in the corner. And I'm realizing that actually, if I'm getting people that disagree with me, then I'm actually probably talking to my right person. But I think it's important to figure out who you are talking to. What do they like? What do they not like? What do they want more of? What do they want less of? Because then you can literally talk to that person in your posts. And then building your brand, I think it's all about, again, focusing on like the colors, the fonts, all that stuff, the lighting, the filters. I mean, it goes down a little bit. Ways to kind of figure out what that brand is. So for me, it's the pink, the black, and the white. Had to pick my brand colors and kind of stick to it. Pick filters that when someone sees it in the news feed, that they're going to probably know it's my picture. They might not always know it's my picture, but also when you go to my Instagram, it's cohesive. My stuff is cohesive. When I do a challenge group, call to action or a coaching call to action, my fonts are always the same, rather than having a million different fonts and never anything being the same. That kind of, to me, is how you will start building that brand. But really, to me, also, they always say your brand is your top 5 things about you, and health, fitness, coaching, that's one. So what are those other 4 things you're going to talk about? You know, I mean, it could be, for me, it's like as stupid as like coffee mugs. You have no idea how many challenge packs I sell after talking about people and telling them I get my coffee mugs at Home Goods, because my people like coffee mugs too. I connect with people on that, and it creates conversations. So posting those little things about you, and I think writing it out and, you know, writing out what your person likes is really important, because then you can kind of go, okay, here's my person, here's my post. Do these go together, or would my person not like this? You know, like kind of go back and forth and talk about specific things that that person wants more of or wants less of. And especially when you know what they want more of or less of, then you can kind of talk about that and talk about how you got more of that or how you got less of that to really attract them. And yes, there is amazing videos in the Champions page and on their YouTube video about challenge groups and how to spice them up. There are some really great things that people do. You do not have to run boring groups like I do. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Does anyone else have anything else? Anything else to add? No? Okay. Well, I will let you guys go. I talked a whole hour for you guys. Hopefully it was helpful, and hopefully I didn't ramble forever. I just really didn't want to make a PowerPoint this week. So I hope you guys are having a really good day. If you guys think of other questions, I hope you guys know you guys can always message me or post on our team page and get these questions answered. You don't ever have to wait for a team call to get them. So I hope you guys have an amazing night, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, you guys.